Welcome to another episode of the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast, your source for actionable real-life examples and advice to help you move to the next level of investing. Each week, we help you make a quantum leap in your business, your finances, and/or your life. We want to help you take back control, help you thrive during chaos, and lead you through the current crisis to a better tomorrow. For more resources, check out smartrealestatecoach.com and be sure to give us a rating and review on your favorite platform.
Okay, Wicked Smart listeners, it's Chris Pre, your host again with another Wicked Smart Masters class. This is what we used to call really a family cast because I'm bringing you Rick Marotto here. Rick is a High Six associate who not too long ago, I think it was about a year ago, but we'll fine tune this in our chat right now. He came into one of our boot camps, and it's interesting because like so many of you, so please hear this, so many of you, he took a journey in real estate that wasn't super positive. Let me give you a little background. He and his wife, Linda, spent over 30 years in the healthcare field. He's still in healthcare. In 2020, here's what I want to make sure you understand. They faced the reality that their retirement savings might fall short. Like, hey, we all start aging. We go, all right, do I have enough going on, right? And they came across an infomercial, unfortunately, about flipping houses as sort of a path to retirement and generational wealth. They jumped in, they followed the advice, and like so many investors got beat up. They made mistakes. They're still navigating it today because of that. Okay. So after losing two promising rehab projects due to sudden changes in banking lending rules, surprise, surprise, does that sound familiar to my story back in 2008? They realized it's time to pivot. Now, right around the same time, I believe life leaves clues, right? And there's nudges here and there. And as Peter Taunton, one of our mentors, partners, friends, always says, opportunity whispers, right? It doesn't yell. Well, there was a Zoom meeting hosted by their local RIA, and my son-in-law, Zach, and partner opened the door for them. Really, I'm going to just say the end result was they opened the door for them. And what we talked about, what we always talk about at the RIA, really aligned for Rick. And if you guys have not gone through that class that we do for the RIA, let me just give a shameless plug here. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/masters podcast, and you'll learn. You'll have to deal with me for 30 minutes, but you'll learn what it means to become an apprentice if you don't already know that. So we're going to dive in here, and we're going to talk about Rick's journey because I know for a fact it's going to touch so many of you guys. Okay, Rick, with that as a little intro, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, how are you, Chris?
I am awesome. Thanks for coming on. This is Rick's first visit to the podcast, and I wanted you guys to hear from Rick directly. I think it's way better to hear from a lot of the community members, frankly, than it is some of our top guests, because you're going to hear from the heart what the heck's going on, the good, the bad, the challenges. So, Rick, let's start at the beginning of your journey. I obviously gave that little intro, but let's talk about how you landed with Smart Real Estate Coach, because we gave the intro of the health industry, right? But let's talk about how you landed here, and then we'll kind of go stair step right through to today.
Yeah. So, well, like you said, I started in the health industry. I've been doing that for 30 years. I got into computers and then kind of merged the two spaces together. So that was an interesting journey all its own. And then my wife was looking for retirement, and we realized we're not going to have enough, even though we work in a health industry, and you think that the benefits are all that great, but they're not. And she found this infomercial at 2 a.m. So we got in with this other group to do real estate, to do flipping. And that was in 2020. And then we made a bunch of mistakes. We, even though they weren't really coaching, they were just, here, do this, and you're on your own. And every answer that we got from them was, go to your CPA, go to your lawyer, double check this, go to this. So it wasn't really helpful. And then about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I had two really good deals that I was trying to get, and banks changed their rules, hard money changed their rules, couldn't do gap funding. So we were on pause on our business for a good 6 months. So that wasn't really helping at all. And then through our local RIA meeting, Zach had this Zoom meeting for Wicked Smart. And I'm like, all right, I'll join, I'll take a look. And then it was the perfect thing that I was looking for. I was actually looking to pivot to something, and it was just fortune that we found this. And as soon as I joined, it's been an incredible journey.
Let's talk about the stair step of that on the journey. So the first thing you did was, because you were, I think you started at apprentice, right?
Jumpstart when it was
Jumpstart, which
yeah.
nowadays is, yeah, okay, so similar. So now for the Wicked Smart listener to know, Jumpstart was a prior program, very similar, not as much support, actually, as good as it was. Apprentice kind of up leveled the support, and then you came to a boot camp, right? What month was that?
That would have been month 4 or 5 that when I was in the program. That was April, and went to the boot camp with a couple of leads that I had from making dials, and you guys got me. You guys got me a couple of appointments. Actually, almost had somebody sign a contract, and that entire experience alone was worth it. That was a huge jump to watch
Yeah,
you guys get on the phone. And
yeah. Sorry, Rick, we got a slight delay in the thing, so I didn't mean to be jumping on top of you.
no, that's okay.
So yeah, just the fact when you come into the boot camp, and I've been screaming about the boot camp, so I don't want to belabor that on the episode, but it's good to hear from you what takes place. So talk to the Wicked Smart listener directly about the boot camp, because that, I don't know anyone else doing it. It's labor intensive for us, but it's super effective. The best thing we've done. So talk about it a little bit.
You're in a conference room packed in with other Wicked Smart students, and they go through dials. They'll call your leads. They go through structuring and deal. It's just 2 days of drinking from a fire hose, even though you've gone through your QLS course. And, I already had business set up and everything. It's still drinking from a fire hose just to see the ins and outs of how you guys would do the day to day. And it's amazing to see when you guys get on the phone, you guys are pretty much doing exactly what you're telling us to do, and then you're doing it. So it's nothing different. It's amazing. And just you guys being on the phone and helping us out has given a lot of credibility, and people get my sentiment from you guys talking to them, and they, oh, okay, well, there's somebody else on board. It's not just this one guy in this one little place, and he's got backing. So I think it lends to the credibility of what I'm doing.
Yeah, and talk about what came to mind when you were saying that is, okay, so you were in that room that day, and maybe, well, it was a drink with a fire hose, but also maybe was a little like, oh, wow, okay, I can do that. So what happened to your confidence, would you say, from that day till even fast forward today? Because we're a little over a year past that, right?
Yeah, we are. We're about a year and a half, and the confidence level just jumped. It was a huge leap in confidence to see, not only to hear you guys on the phone, but to actually see you get on the phone and do the calls was a huge, huge, huge confidence boost. And then as soon as I got home, I started making dials, and I could just hear myself differently.
Yeah. Because would you agree, Rick? If everybody could somehow, some way get that confidence kind of shot in the arm earlier, that's maybe more than half the battle, maybe 80% of the battle. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I only wish I would have found you guys in 2020 instead of the path that we went. It would have probably saved me a lot.
Well, I mean, that's like me saying I wish I didn't get crushed by '08, right? So we got to chalk it up to everything for a reason, right? And it kind of builds your character and your muscle.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah. By the way, just for everybody to know, like the big comparison, and I have a lot of good friends that are wholesalers and flippers, but the reality is, with everything you're doing, Rick, for you to go manage another transactional thing like a flip or like that's another job, in my opinion, right? I mean, so there's a little difference there too.
Oh, it totally was. And my wife, the other half of the business, so I work during the day, she works in the evening. So I would find the deals, find the money, and then she would manage the rehab projects. And of course, I had a budget I was trying to keep, and it's my wife, so I'd automatically add 25,000 to the budget because I knew she was going to add things to there that were probably not necessary. I was like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. So, but yeah, no, it was a journey and a half because we're both working full time and we're both trying to, get this other business ramped up, and it just what really wasn't doing what we wanted it to do.
Yeah. And I know your why, your mission here is to, if it hasn't changed from memory for me, it's to retire your wife, to get her out of her job, and then yourself, right? Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
Yeah. There's so many people listening that, like, the job, as I've said a million times, the job is the risk. Yet there's so many people listening that just don't take that plunge. In the last boot camp last week, Rick, I said this, and I want your opinion on it. It came to mind. I think I heard it in an audible, and it just, some things popped to me. And I said, guys, how many people have a goal to get out of their job? And everybody in the room who had a job said, yep, that's me. And I said, okay, how many people set a goal to do that in the last couple of years? Yep, that's me, but I didn't hit it. So I said, why don't we shift to a definitive plan? Not a goal that would be nice to hit, but a plan like Rick and Judy and some Rusty, Mike, some of the others in our community have done. So what are your thoughts on that? Having a set plan with some of the community that can help versus a goal to maybe someday hit it and that'd be nice type thing.
Well, and that's very relevant, because the way we started before, it was a goal. I mean, we've been working our W-2. That was the goal. Eventually retire. We got into this rehab business. That was the goal. Retire. With you guys, it's not just a goal. You guys help us plan it, and I can actually see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel where I'm actually going to be able to do this. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Okay, who wants to be the next apprentice? Pretty interesting, guys. We started this apprentice program back as a July 4th, 2024 promo. That's where it started. And it was so incredibly effective. We were just going to run it for the summer. It was so effective immediately. We kept it. It's in place now. And what is it? It allows you to get into the community, the Wicked Smart community, for less dollars than the QLS home study course sells for right now on our site. In fact, when you go to smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice-pod, apprentice-pod, when you go there, you're going to see that as an apprentice, you're going to get over $13,000 worth of coaching, the possibility for you to touch base with us if you want to, 4 or 5 times a week, and it doesn't exist anywhere out there, frankly. That's why we did it. We did it for 2 reasons. One, no one is giving you the support out there. We keep hearing feedback, which is how this was born, that other educators are not giving support. They're just selling stuff. So it doesn't exist anywhere, and nowhere in the real estate education or coaching space. And we want to help you do one thing: deals. So we've wrapped the support mechanism around this. We've allowed you to get into a Slack community with the other associates who previously were protected in Slack, and now you get to jump in there and experience that for 12 weeks. You also get to come to the In the Trenches Bootcamp, which is private. It's a chance to hang out with the family team and one of the coaches for 2.25 days in our conference room, roll up our sleeves, get calls done, get deals done. If you come with leads, you leave with deals. Absolutely incredible. I could go on and on. Go to the website right now. Check out more information about the apprentice, and I'm going to give you the In the Trenches Bootcamp site, because you don't have to become an apprentice. It just happens to be free with apprentice and associate. So 2 links I'm going to give you, super important. smartrealestatecoach.com/ITTB-pod. That's going to give you some information about the bootcamp. If you want to buy a ticket to the bootcamp, it's more expensive, but you can. Just to come check us out. About 1 or 2 people every time we run it do just that. Or become an apprentice, and it's for free. smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice-pod.
Yeah, I love it. That's a big difference for the Wicked Smart listener. Please understand what Rick just said and I just said together, because you can do it. You can leave your W-2. You can escape that, and you can have it with a definitive plan. A definitive plan. And yours might be 9 months. It might be closer to 2 years, which most people do. It might be 3 years. Whatever it is, at least it's a definitive plan. And look at, we're in what, 2025. Rick and I are filming this in June. Just think how fast 22 to 25 went. Like, it was a blink for me, right? You too, Rick, right?
Yeah, completely.
I mean, so if you're listening now and you think, okay, yep, 2028 is going to be here in a blink. How about we get there and say, wow, that was cool. We made that plan and we nailed it. So just a thought. Rick, bring us to your first deal now. Actually, you have your first one done and your second one almost done. So what was talk about your first deal? And I'd like to know, in the journey of the first deal, sort of some lessons that might have been, or ahas where you went, oh, that's harder, or oh, that's easier, right? Talk about your first deal for these guys, because I want them to visualize what it's like to get that first 3 paydays, and you can talk numbers too.
So the first deal I had was actually a turnkey rental that we purchased in a different state, and it wasn't holding itself above water. It really wasn't cash flowing that well. and we were putting more money into it than we were getting out of it. And as soon as I went to the boot camp, I realized, holy crap, we could totally do this. So I told Zach while he was at the boot camp, put up my numbers. Let's see what we can do with this. And it looked really, really, really good. I was like, and we could get out from underneath it. So it was all business to that point. So we did it. I started marketing it and getting on the buyer side. And that was a journey all its own. A lot of learning there. And then found somebody who was a really good buyer, and his story just overwhelmed me. And I actually got to help somebody. It wasn't just about the money. The money's going to be good after it cashes out, but I actually got to help somebody get his kids back and get into a home. So that was just remarkable for me. And so it's still ongoing. He's now taken over. He's paying the rent. I'm not doing any rehab. I'm not, putting any money on repairs or anything. So it's almost literally off my plate until it cashes out.
Yeah, I love it. I remember the story the second you said it. So for everybody to know, not only was that an amazing story, but Nick, my son Nick and partner, helped Rick during a boot camp successfully onboard this buyer. And the people that have kind of witnessed that buyer meeting are almost always in tears just because of what Rick did to help this buyer. And I think that's huge, Rick, for the win-win environment that we're in. And again, I'm not poo-pooing other niches, but I want your opinion on this. We sort of are in a win-win-win situation in the creative world, at least how the Wicked Smart community operates. So the buyer wins big time, the seller wins big time, and we win, obviously. So it's a three-way win. And any thoughts on that? Because some niches, frankly, are predatory, right? And ours is not. So I'd love your thoughts on that.
Oh, I completely agree. And just the fact I was able to, on the first deal, just help somebody who was in a rut. I'm getting financial and definitely getting some help on that. And then since I'm the seller, I also got, that financial little boost on that. So no, it was a complete win-win-win. And like I said earlier, you guys are doing this with us. You guys are, and you say it all the time, it's in the trenches. Well, you guys are actually in the trenches. You guys helped me with this. You guys got the paperwork set up. You guys helped me with getting the buyer scheduled and all the other nuances that went along with it. You guys never let me falter. As long as I was consistent with what I was doing, you guys were right there with me, and that was amazing.
And one of many to come, right? We got your second deal. Well, actually, let me put an explanation point on what you said earlier for the listener. So that was Rick's property. The last boot camp we had a few weeks ago, there were 4 people in the room out of 16 that had their own property, and we did what we did with Rick. We put their numbers up on the board. One gentleman from, Atlanta, had 2 properties of his own, one empty, one a nightmare tenant. We took both of those, put them on the board, and he was blown away. He's now an associate, and we're going to get those deals done this week with Nick. So I just want to make sure everybody understood we're working with Rick's property there in that case. So if you own property right now, single family, doesn't matter, definitely reach out to us and let us help you convert that to 3 paydays and hands off instead of being a landlord. Now, Rick, you have your next one. It's under agreement with the seller. You're still vetting buyers. I don't think it's done yet that I heard. Talk about that deal, because that wasn't your own deal. That was, you procured that.
Yeah, that was from a VA call. It was expired listing. The family had to move. This was going to be a long-term home for them, and they had to leave for family issues. So they had to leave the state. And I went and saw it, and the first thing I thought of was they're out of state. They need the money because they had a small little amount of equity. So the first thing I thought of was doing an AO to get them the most cash. And so I go see the property, and they were ready to sign like the first phone call that I had with them because they were just desperate. So I went and saw it, and I'm like, you guys are out of state. You're not going to have you're not going to be able to manage this and get the checks and do the mortgage payment and do all the other stuff and manage it. And they were very, very, very quick to go to a lease option. And then after going back with Rick, because I found out that the place had been vacant for a whole year, and I said, what about capital gains? What's that going to do? So Rick says, let's do a sub two. We change title, resets the clock, and they don't have to worry about that either. So that's where we landed, was a sub two. And right now I'm marketing for a buyer. It's only been on the market for 2.5 months. I've already had a bunch of showings and had one buyer who was very qualified and just had a hard time towards the end to get her to sign. And it turns out her husband had some medical issues, so that kind of fell through. But I'm still marketing it. So I've had another showing this week, and then I got another one coming up tomorrow. So we'll see what happens.
I think in June, we'll pop that. Rick, I wrote down, you probably saw me scribbling notes. I wrote down 6 things that I want to make sure that you just said like it was second nature, because you're now in the system and you just bang it out. Maybe a year ago, you wouldn't have known these things. So let me clarify for the Wicked Smart listener. I'll go in order. Rick mentioned a VA. That's just a virtual assistant. I don't want to assume everybody knows what that means, because oftentimes people go, what are you talking about? Virtual assistant makes his initial calls for him. He also mentioned AO. We buy 3 different ways. One of the ways, the fourth way, if all else doesn't work, is called an AO, and it simply means an assign out. So Rick procures the same buyer, but assigns that buyer back to the seller. We don't do that all the time. It's one payday. We do it if it's best for the seller, or if there's just no way to make the deal work. So you can get trained up on that for those of you listening. And then you mentioned Rick. I mean, Rick is a coach now who worked for the government for 30 years, who tried wholesaling like Rick tried flipping. And Rick was frustrated because he had 180 employees he was trying to run, and now he's trying to do another business wholesale. It just didn't take hold. And he came in with us, made a set plan, not a goal, to leave the government, and he did. And now he's a coach and works directly with Rick and others. So that's Rick in New Hampshire working with Rick here on the screen. And then Rick, you just said reset the clock. I want to make sure everybody knew what that meant. If somebody has a primary residence, the IRS says, okay, you got to be in that house 2 out of the last 5 years to keep your exclusion and not get whacked with capital gains on your residence. And so by Rick doing that simple deed transfer, that negated any time passing. So that's what he meant by resetting the clock. Again, these are things Rick now knows that are probably foreign to a lot of people. So great job, Rick. And then you mentioned showings. The last thing I wrote down, just so everybody knows, I get this asked all the time. We don't go show the property. Is the house you're talking about, it's vacant, right? You said
it is vacant. There's a lockbox, and I get people when they call me. There's a process, but basically they get the lockbox code, and they go see the house. They lock it up, and they send me a picture of the lockbox after they shuffle the numbers, and then we go from there.
Great, that's awesome. And yeah, Rick alluded to a system. The buyer module, I think it's mod 9 in our QLS home study course, goes extensively into that. And then my son Nick and the coaches help everybody in the community fine tune that system, because 80% of the population right now, generally speaking, can't qualify for conventional loans. It doesn't mean they're all good. Rick has to sift through. Rick, I don't know how many inquiries you've had, but you got to sift through a lot of people who try to rent, and that's not what we're looking for, right? I mean, I don't know. Did you have a few hundred? How many inquiries have you had on this property?
Probably about 250 is, I think, where it's at between all the marketing streams. And on my first house, I had almost 3,000 inquiries.
Oh wow!
It was insane.
Wow, that's amazing. Did your buyer know that it was that active? You tell him that, he'll probably appreciate you more being in your house. That's interesting. 3,000.
Yeah, I didn't actually get those numbers until afterwards, and I looked at how many leads I had, and I was like, I knew I was busy, but I didn't think I was that busy.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because this gets asked all the time. I want you to answer instead of me just spouting it out. What is more difficult, if you had to say? Is it getting the property or getting the buyer?
Getting the property. Getting the buyer just happens. It's almost a natural process after you get the scripts and after you get the system down. It's almost a natural process. Yeah, getting people to realize that they need the help and that you can help them is probably the biggest stumbling block that I have. That's probably the biggest hurdle.
No, you're spot on. That's why I'm smiling. Like that. When you go out and get 8 properties, I tell everybody this: you get 5 to 8 properties in play, you got 1 sale a month. It's just, we know the numbers. We've been doing this now for a long time, over a decade, and you can pop a house a month just by getting your inventory up. So We're getting there, Rick, with you. Let's see. We're in July when this airs, probably right before the holiday, actually, July 2nd, if they're listening to it on time when it comes out. I would say two things here, or ask you two things rather. Speak to them as to why they should come to the large annual event coming up in October in Boston, because you've been to at least, I think, one or two. And also, because we're in July, why should they come to the boot camp that's in August? Like a month from now, we're going to put on a boot camp if it's not full as of the time of this hearing. And we're going to bring in 10 to 15 people to 4 of us. Like, it's super hands-on. Just talk to those two things to them, if you could, Rick, from your standpoint.
Okay, I'll start with the QLS Live. And we've gone to other seminars before and other things, and it's just a big sales fest. And you go to QLS Live, and you're elbow to elbow with people that you've been on Zoom calls with. You're 10 feet away from, well, Chris and family, because it's a small room, and the information that you get is priceless. And the time that they spend, they even do real, live calls. The speakers that they have are relevant to our business, because I'm using some of those people right now, and I was using them before. So a lot of it is very relevant to what we're doing, and it was taking me out of my W-2, so no distractions. I'm focused in with them, and it was priceless. I mean, I know we get it for free, but it's priceless. So I took my wife with me. So I bought her the ticket. We went, and she was really just impressed with the whole thing too. She was flabbergasted. Like I said, we've been to other seminars, and you're in this humongous room, and you can barely see the person on stage, and you may or may not even know this person. And I can call Chris. I can call you 10 o'clock at night, and a lot of these people, I have no idea what their numbers are. I don't even know how to get a hold of them. So it just flipped it on its head. It's completely upside down from what we were doing before.
Love it. And let me just give them the link, Rick. It's free if you're an apprentice or an associate, to Rick's point. If you bring in a spouse or W-2, it's a guest ticket, because we feed you the whole time. But just go to QLSlive.com. Simple. And then what about the boot camp, Rick? I mean, probably similar comments, but anything that we didn't hit as far as, because they could get registered like for next month if they want.
I would say it's definitely a must do, no matter where you are on the program. It doesn't matter if you went through QLS or not. It's a must do, because just being in there elbow to elbow with you guys, making calls, watching you do your business, and we're going to be duplicating it. So why not see it? Yeah, it was, I need to go again just to get a reset, but, time, schedule, I just really need to push things out and just go, because it was so remarkable, and I need to go again.
I love it. And as a high 6 associate, he gets to do that. He can come again. He can come unlimited. Whereas everyone else gets one free boot camp. Rick, it's been awesome hanging out. I think we kind of journeyed through here, and I would encourage these guys to come meet you. Like, more important than meeting us, do what Rick said. Come to QLS Live, come to the boot camp, and talk with other people like Rick, and go, hey, how can we work together? How can you help me? There's someone in the community on Slack. There's 140, 150 of us. There's someone in the community, if you're listening right now, that is where you are or was where you are. And you can take that journey without kind of reinventing the wheel. Why reinvent the wheel? Just come in, let someone grab you by the arm and help you, in addition to the family and team members. So, Rick, thank you so much, buddy. Congrats. And I look forward to, no pressure now with all the listeners, but I look forward to having you back on when you're on your 4th or 5th deal. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, I'm hoping to do that soon.
Awesome. Congrats, buddy. See you soon. Okay, guys, that wraps up our Wicked Smart Family Masters class. And what I want to do, because Rick had such an amazing experience, actually, if you go to the website, you'll see him in there on a video. Go to, let me think, smartrealestatecoach.com/ITTB podcast. And you'll get to see what it's like to kind of be at that boot camp. And you don't have to buy it, guys. We used to sell for $2,500. We don't do that anymore. We let you come for free as an apprentice or an associate. If you've never seen that information, go check out that master's class link I gave you, smartrealestatecoach.com/masters podcast, because that'll tell you how to get your foot in the door for cheaper than it used to cost to be at that event for a ticket. When you come in here, just like Rick, you'll leave with a very specific strategy and plan. And if you pre-plan coming to that event and you let us help you pre-plan and you have some leads, you're going to leave with deals. Will you just please think about that for a second? When I say you're going to leave with deals, our 3 paydays range $45,000 to $350,000 historically. The stakes are really high when I give you that number, right? For you to be able to leave with a deal or two that could perhaps maybe in 25 or 26 equal those averages for you, it's a game changer, guys. I think it'll be a game changer. I look forward to meeting you here at the Bootcamp. I will see you guys all on next week's Wicked Smart Masters class. And again, I hope to meet you in person real soon here in the office in Newport, Rhode Island. See you next week.
Hey guys, are you simply sick of juggling a dozen different software tools for your real estate business? I know I was, and I know I'm not a tech person, so it was frustrating. A subscription for this, you get a subscription for that, and they don't even work together out of the box. That's very frustrating, especially in the real estate world where your best time spent is going to be out in the field or on the phone with sellers. And now you're stuck hiring a tech guru just to make all that sync up. So let's ditch the chaos and let REI Black Book handle everything. Automate your lead follow-up, track every deal, analyze things quickly for you, make offers all on one platform. In fact, with the Wicked Smart platform, we now have access, if you're in the Wicked Smart community, to all the other associates' properties. Can you imagine that? So you're brand new in the business perhaps, and your seller looks on your website and sees 20, 30, 40 properties, instant credibility. So you're going to get everything on REI Black Book from our custom workflows for lead generation all the way to closing. It has it covered. Try it today for just $1, guys. Visit smartrealestatecoach.com/REIBB-DD. smartrealestatecoach.com/REI, B as in boy, B as in boy, hyphen, D as in dog, D as in dog.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you got value from today's episode, guys, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a future episode. It literally takes one nugget to access some of the things we're doing. And when you're talking the size of the paydays, it's an opportunity cost that you can't let go. So don't miss an episode. And for goodness sake, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you're ready to find your best path for getting started on your real estate investing journey in general, head over to smartrealestatecoach.com/get started. We're going to help you take the guesswork out of your next steps. See you in the next episode.